We are back. We are live. In case you missed it, we just did a session on studentdoctor.net, and I got a bunch of questions from you guys. And so it was telling me I had to beep off, and so now I'm back on live YouTube. We're gonna do Q&A. I'll give everyone a couple seconds to get on here. Okay, so Robin, you're up first. What about research? I feel bad that everyone is doing research and I'm just volunteering. So Robin, I guess this is another thing that's perpetuated on studentdoctor.net that bugs me, is that people on studentdoctor.net will tell you that research is mandatory. Jenny, hello. People will tell you on studentdoctor.net that research is mandatory for medical school. It is not. It is absolutely not necessary to get into medical school. I went to Stanford Medical School, which is one of the most, right? It's like, I think it's like the second highest ranked research medical schools in the country, right? And so people always assume, oh, I can't go to Stanford unless I do research. There were plenty of my classmates who did not do research. There's plenty of students who get into Stanford who do not do research. However, if you aren't going to do research, you must find other ways to show schools that you are scholarly inclined. And so for me, I'm not a big researcher. For me, as you guys see, I'm kind of a free spirit, so I do what I want to do. And I felt like lab research was super boring to me. And I know like 90% of you guys feel that way, because those are the comments I get. That's why people ask, do I have to do research? Because I really don't want to do research, because being in lab sucks, right? It's terrible. You clean rat cages, or I think I cleaned rat cages for a couple months. I cleaned salamander cages for a couple months. I did mice cages for a couple months too. That was an interesting experience. So I did all the animals. I've done the whole spectrum. I had a buddy who did alligator tanks. But anyway, long story short, research sucks. So people ask, do I have to do research to get into medical school? You don't. But you have to show you're scholarly in some other way. So what does scholarly mean, right? So research is about generating new information, new knowledge for the world. The other ways you can do that is that you can do things like teaching, things like mentoring. Why? Because these are ways that you actually disseminate that knowledge to others. And so you are a scholar because you are participating in scholarly activities, spreading that knowledge to other people. And so if you are not going to do research, you need to do something else scholarly. So Robin, you teach, perfect. But with that, and this is something else that I always tell students, you can do something. So someone can do one activity, they can say, I teach. So yes, you teach, great. And that gets you into medical school. Other people teach, it doesn't get into medical school. What's the difference? It's about validating your experience. So if you teach your little brother something, that's not a valid experience that you can put down in your application that medical schools respect. If, however, you go out and you teach other people's little brother, that then validates the experience. Only if you can prove you did it, if that makes sense. So if you're with an organization or you do through a school, those are ways that you validate that teaching experience and get it to count for more on your medical school application, as opposed to saying, oh, well, I tutored people in the neighborhood or whatever. No, I tutored through my church, I tutored through the Boys and Girls Club, I tutored through, those are the ways that you validate the experience. So that's another way to show scholarly potential and avoid research. So thank you for your question, Robin, I appreciate it. Let me see. You are so correct. I wish more people were honest like you. I was wondering if you are aware about Canadian students trying to get into medical school in the States. I am knowledgeable about this process. I actually just did a Google chat with a friend of mine who actually just went from medical school in Canada and actually just matched at the University of California, Los Angeles into her residency. And so I'm actually going to be posting the conversation I had with her on this YouTube channel, so you guys can check that out and kind of hear her insights. But she had a lot of interesting perspectives, and her perspective is interesting doubly because she actually, the way I met her was we worked in consulting together. So before medical school, I actually worked as a healthcare consultant. And so we actually worked together in the same firm. She stayed on, and she was debating if she was gonna go to medical school at that same time, and she decided to stay in consulting for a while. So she actually was working in consulting for a while, and actually just went back to medical school a little bit ago, so that's why she's just now going into residency, and so she's a little bit behind me. But so she had some really interesting insights because she was here in America doing consulting and looking at the process kind of with more American eyes, and then went back up to Canada to do a Canadian medical school, and then now came back down to residency. So she applied to American medical schools and did it both ways. So she has a really unique perspective. So I'm going to bring you guys an interview. I'm not going to talk about it now, but that's going to be a really good interview. And I haven't done any interviews on my channel because I mentioned how people pretend to be experts. So there's a lot of people who do these interview videos, and the only reason they do those is because they're not their own expert. So I like kind of bringing my view on things because I am an expert in a lot of things, and so I don't necessarily like doing a lot of that because I feel like, I don't know, it kind of dilutes the opinions and the kind of views that we're bringing. But I will be bringing that because that's actually really interesting, and I always like to admit what I don't know. And I was not as familiar with the Canadian. I'm Canadian, actually, guys. I was born in Edmonton, in Canada, and it's sad I don't actually know the process as well. And so the way I stay on top of being an expert in things is I constantly am going out and getting new information and talking to people who are really, really well versed in the process, so that way I can bring it to you guys. So I'll bring you guys that interview because it was actually really entertaining, really funny. So I'll bring you guys that. Next up, Courtney. I desperately need a 3.8 GPA for medical school. I have a 3.3 GPA now, so I was thinking about taking credit online from another school to transfer in for my overall GPA. So Courtney, I hate that comment. I'm going to be honest with you. I hate it because if you guys understand anything about what I'm stressing on this channel is that you don't have to be a perfect student to get into medical school. And I have plenty of students who get into medical school and they don't have 3.8 GPAs. They're not perfect students. You don't have to have that aspect. So I actually hate your comment, I'm sorry to say, but to say I have to get a 3.8, I have a 3.3 now, and my life is terrible, is in shambles, and I'm going to medical school, that is a bad statement. But your follow-up question talking about should you take classes online to transfer over credit to boost your GPA, that's actually a really good question because people ask me this all the time, and that's a bad idea. Because if you're taking online classes either in the summer or while you're taking classes at a university, it's really bad looking to medical schools because it looks like you're dodging the competition. And just like your comment says, that's exactly what you're trying to do. You're trying to boost your GPA by going outside of your university where the competition is lower in an online environment and boost your GPA that way. Medical schools aren't stupid, right? They're run by doctors. Therefore, they can see right through and see what you did on your transcript to try to artificially boost your GPA, so don't do it. Instead, get your study strategies together, get your study habits together, work hard, work smart, and bust your butt and get your grades that you need to get a higher GPA, not a 3.8, on or in your current university. All right. I like you. I'm going to sign up for your MCAT domination course. Timberly, thank you very much. You should sign up for my MCAT domination course. While we're on that subject, guys, I have a course. It is not available yet. It is available April 15th. It is going to blow your socks off. It is currently pre-selling on my website. It's $49.99. The course is like 6 or 7 hours right now, and I'm not done filming it yet. It's going to be longer than that, but it breaks down exactly how to take the MCAT without an expensive prep class. So with this $50, you buy the course. I teach you how to take the books that are $100 and study and get a top score on the MCAT. The course is worth way more than $50, right? I'm a Princeton Review content creator. The course is worth way more than $50, but I keep stressing to you guys, right? I'm not on here to gouge you guys. I'm on here to provide resources. I want to make the best resources available to every student, any student. I don't want people to say, oh, I'm too poor to be able to afford that. I want everyone to be able to buy my products. That's why they're priced like they are. So I was a disadvantaged student. I was a poor student. I know what it was to have to work to pay for school. So that's what I'm about. That's my mission. It's quite simple. It's not, you don't have to make it complicated. I'm here to make the best resources available for you guys. And so check out all my courses on my website, but that Dominate MCAT course is the bomb, and that'll be out next week. I'm actually going to announce tonight, so check out for this announcement. But I'm going to do a live webinar actually next week doing the 3 strategies you must know for dominating the MCAT, and that's going to be next Wednesday at 5 o'clock is going to be that webinar. But I'm going to send an announcement out for that. Make sure you register for that. Limited seating. I'm only doing 200 of you guys on there, but it's going to be off the hook live webinar next Wednesday. So thank you for asking that, Timberly, and I look forward to you getting in that course. Layla D, would you estimate one summer internship to be sufficient to prove you're scholarly? No, right? Because when medical schools are looking at activities, what are they looking for, right? 2 words, breadth and depth. And you'll see that all over everybody's website. If you listen to a dean talk, they'll say the same thing to you, right? I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel here. It's basic. Breadth and depth. or a lot of one substituting for another one. So if you are in an experience for a long time, that's nice. If you're in an activity for a short time, that's fine, as long as you were heavily involved. So doing one internship one summer, odds are in your internship you're not going to do very much. So only having one internship one summer is not going to cut it for being super scholarly, unless you turn that internship into something more by doing something spectacular during that internship. Otherwise, spend every summer doing an internship. If I was going to advise you guys something, that's actually something like, use your summers wisely, not for taking classes. You can take classes during the year. Use your summer, do a summer abroad, do research, do an internship, right? Do something completely different from what you do during the year, and that way you build your resume, and also you get to have some fun and a break from just grinding away, in the competitive seas of pre-med classes. Excuse me. Trod, multiple D's there. How highly do AdComs think of applicants with a military background? Is it as highly looked upon as everyone says? It absolutely is, right? So shout out to the military. We all respect what the military does for us to keep us safe and to protect us. The military is looked highly upon for multiple reasons. One, it shows that you were committed to something, right? We just talked about this in extracurriculars, breadth and depth. Military, you have to sign up for at least a 2-year commitment. So they know that you've been involved in an activity and you were in it, right? The other thing is people don't sign up to the military on accident. That was a conscious decision to you to invest in something. And so medical schools like that. Additionally, right, people talk about volunteer opportunities. Well, you actually don't need to volunteer even to get into medical school. This is another misnomer that's perpetuated. What you need to do is show that you are a human being and that you care about other people. And so by being in the military, you are giving up technically a lot of your freedom, right, and your rights to go serve your country and serve people of America. Therefore, you are being a human being and helping others. Therefore, you are a human being, and medical schools like that. Additionally, military teaches you discipline. Discipline is super important to succeed. If you guys want a tip on how to study better, be disciplined, right? Be disciplined, be consistent every single day, and that will help you in your medical school quest and in your studying. So Trod, thank you for your question. Thank you for your military service. Appreciate it. Okay. Man, if you guys are liking this live question and answer, and you guys want more of these questions answered, like this so I know. Like it's really funny. I need feedback. I need reinforcement. I'm very insecure, guys. I need to know that you guys like these live videos, that you like these questions, that you guys like stuff like this. I can do more of stuff like this. We can do live 2-hour webinars. I don't care, right? Because I'm here to help you guys out and help you guys get information. So let's see what we got here next up. I'm glad I figured out I can scroll back to these questions. They disappear so fast. I don't know if you guys can see what I see, but they show up and they disappear and they go up into the screen, but now I can actually scroll back. So Chantel, how do you increase your chances of gaining an interview after graduating from undergrad in 2015 with a mediocre GPA and previous low MCAT scores? So I just told you guys, if someone gives you a specific answer to your general question, they are full of it. And so I apologize, Chantel, but I actually cannot answer that question accurately because it's very general. And so that would be something where I'd have to see your entire portfolio to know what you've done in terms of extracurriculars, how exactly your GPA is messed up, what classes you took, how piss poor your MCAT is, right? So all those things factor into how I would advise you to go forward. And this is something, right, this is good advice. Again, I just talked about they, right, in the previous video, what everyone else is doing. Everyone has their own path to becoming an MD. Non-traditional is just as valid as traditional. So there's different paths for different people, but if you mess around and try to pursue a path that's for someone else, you're going to do yourself a disservice and you're going to find yourself out of medical school and you're going to be wondering why, because, I did what they were doing. Well, you have to do what you need to do for medical school. So Chantel, I'm sorry, I can't answer your question because it's not specific enough, especially for something like this. But if we do a webinar, that might be something, but it's still kind of hard. I'd have to have all your information. And so if you guys have been on my coaching page, I offer coaching for students, but I have you guys fill out this super thick packet. And then also, before we actually do our main coaching meeting, I actually will meet with students and get even more information to clarify what's happening. And then we meet, because I want to make sure that when I'm coming with a plan for you, it's for you. It's specific to you and what you need to do. So Robin, thank you. What's this? Fee fam, like fee fi fo fum. Everyone talks about shadowing, but how do you validate your shadowing when you apply for med school? So that's actually a really good question. Shadowing, you validate it by the letter of recommendation. If someone allows you to shadow them and you shadow them for a year and then you have no letter of recommendation from that shadowing, that's bad. Because that means you spent all this time with someone, right, who's a physician, who is where you want to be, right? You're learning their craft, and they didn't think enough of you to write you a letter of recommendation, right? So that's how you validate your shadowing experience, is you get a very strong letter of recommendation that talks about your passion for medicine, your capability for medicine, and that you're a nice person that people would want to be around. You don't scare the kids, right? So that's that. Precise, Anik. What are good volunteering opportunities that high school juniors should do and take advantage of if they are pre-med? So the volunteer opportunities for high schoolers, same as college, right? Volunteering something that you're passionate about. I constantly stress on my channel, right? I have a lot of videos on here that aren't necessarily directly related to pre-med. Life is about passion and what you're passionate about. I love teaching, love it. I love learning, I love teaching, I love mentoring. That's like my thing, right? Like even with being a doctor, I really love working with students. I really love working with people in general, just trying to make people better. And so that has been my passion for forever. I wrote about it in my personal statement. I wrote about it in my college admissions, everything. I love helping people get better. And so every volunteer opportunity I did in undergrad was related to me teaching or mentoring, because that was my passion, right? If that was my passion, I should not have been doing that, but it was. And it's the same thing for you guys. When you guys pick extracurriculars or volunteer things, pick something you're passionate about, because if you're passionate about it, you're gonna be more engaged, you're gonna be more focused, you're gonna be more happy, smiley, all the kind of good things, and you're gonna be more likely to show up and be present and make a strong impact, so that way you can get that good letter of recommendation. So what activities are good volunteer? Any activity that you are passionate about, but don't do something just because. And so I don't know if I can actually flip my arm is getting, I need to invest like a tripod for this cell phone here, but okay. So next up is, what did I do? Okay. That's how slow of a reader I am. I can't even read these comments. Okay. Layla, oh wow, can't wait for the video on Canadian students. Yes. Oh Canada, coming at you. Okay. Farzan Ali, how does one show leadership besides running for school council? I'm kind of shy, and I know I can't do that kind of stuff. Well, Farzan, one thing is that can't is a terrible word. Don't use it on my channel, okay? Everyone can do whatever they set their mind to do. So if you want to be student council president, you can do that. But if you're shy, there's plenty of other things you can do to show leadership, right? Like quiet leaders. And so the way you show leadership is by leading people. And so it doesn't necessarily have to be in a big public setting like student council. It can be in something smaller, right? Maybe you lead a small group at your church. Maybe you lead a group at the Boys and Girls Club. Maybe you lead a group at the local library. But being a leader is about having an impact on other people, and there's plenty of ways to do that. Moreover, right, and this is a question I get a lot, is, oh, I'm the president of this club that's going to help me get into medical school, right? And it's like, actually, not really, because everyone's a president of something in their college, right, who are applying to medical school for the most time. Oh, I was president, I was vice president. The real separator in showing leadership is actually being a leader. Start an initiative. Grow the membership in your group, right? Do something, a fundraiser, something to promote something, right? Grow the organization. That is true leadership. It's not just being, having the title of president. It's actually being a president and leading people somewhere. Man, these questions keep coming. All right, I like it. What can high school seniors do to get ready? Same thing as juniors. Is it possible to hold a full-time? So this is actually a good question. So high schoolers, my high school people, my young people, what should you be doing to get ready for medical school? You should be working on your study skills. Forget all the extracurriculars that people tell you to do in high school. Yes, do that stuff because you have to do that to get into college. But if you really want to prepare yourself for medical school, work on your study skills. Because as I'm sure a lot of the college students that are on this feed or that are watching the YouTube channel, and if you're watching this non-live, please comment in the box and tell us how terrible your first semester in college was. Because for my high school students, you guys can't grasp this because everyone has 4.6 GPAs in high school. But when you get to college, the level of difficulty steps up tremendously. And so a lot of people struggle like I did. I struggled terribly. I struggled in high school, but I continued that struggle into college. But it's really, really hard to handle taking 4 or 3 college level classes and succeeding. So what I would say is really work on your study skills so that way when you get to college, it's a smooth transition and you don't have to falter and get an F or get a C or be put on academic probation and then get your life together and recognize your study skills are terrible. Get them together now. Work on it now. Right? So if you guys are on the East Coast, I'm out in Baltimore next Saturday. We're doing a study skills and interview workshop. It's absolutely free for everybody. You can register on my website. It's totally free for students. But check that out. I do study workshops all the time. They're absolutely free or they're low cost and they're amazing. So check those out on my website. So let's see.